Hey there drone fans, Rick here again with a quick comparison between the DJI Mini 2 and the DJI Mini 3 drone. Now you can see that these drones look pretty different. This is the Generation 1 airframe that was started with the original Mavic Mini and was still used with the Mini 2. The Mini 3 uses the Generation 2 airframe, which is dramatically different. And the Mini 3 really came from the release of the Mini 3 Pro, which was their first Generation 2 drone that had crash avoidance and a lot of advanced features built in. The Mini 3 is really a less expensive version of that original Mini 3 Pro. Now I'm going to give you the specifications next for both of these drones, and then I'll come back at the end and do a quick comparison and summarize the differences between them so you can make the best choice for which of these two drones work for you. The DJI Mini 2 drone weighs 249 grams, which makes it an ultralight drone, and that means you won't have to worry about registering it with the FAA if you're flying in the United States. The drone can fly for 31 minutes on a fully charged battery, and its imaging package includes a 1/2.3-inch sensor, which can produce 4K video at up to 30 frames a second, which is astoundingly good for a small drone like this. It sports a 3-axis gimbal, which guarantees rock-steady footage no matter how much the drone is being buffeted by the wind. It uses one of the newest OcuSync technologies for transmission, which provides up to 10 kilometers of flight distance between the controller and the drone. Bear in mind that you need to keep the drone in your visual line of sight when flying. The DJI Mini 3 drone weighs 248 grams, which again makes it an ultralight drone, which doesn't require registration with the FAA in the United States. There are two battery styles available for the Mini 3, the standard battery, which provides 38 minutes of flight time, and the Plus battery, which provides an amazing 51 minutes of flight time on a single charge, which is the longest flight time in the air of any of the Mini drones. The imaging package includes a 1/1.3-inch sensor, which is larger than the Mini 2. It includes advanced image processing software as well to produce amazing video at up to 4K at 30 frames a second. It uses the O2 transmission technology for connection to the controller, which again provides 10 kilometers of flight distance between the operator and the actual drone. But keep in mind, we still have a visual line of sight requirement in the US, which means you have to keep the drone in your line of sight when you're flying. I hope those specifications were helpful, and now I'll try to summarize the major differences between the DJI Mini 2 drone and the DJI Mini 3. And you can already tell by looking at these drones that they have radically different designs, and the reason for that is the Mini 2 is based on the original Generation 1 airframe that started way back with the original Mavic Mini. And there have been 4 drones that share that airframe: the Mavic Mini, the Mini SE, the Mini 2 SE, and the Mini 2. And that's a really proven airframe. It really looks like they took a Mavic Pro and shrunk it down somehow to a smaller airframe. It's a proven airframe, it's a stable airframe, and it works really well. Now, I remember when the original Mavic Mini was released, a lot of people looked at that drone and thought, that's not going to fly well, that's a toy drone. It's going to get thrown around in the air the minute a breeze kicks up, and they couldn't have been more wrong. That original Mavic Mini was an epiphany for drone flyers because it was a small drone that weighed less than 250 grams, but it flew like a much bigger drone, and it had features you normally only found on really sophisticated drones packed into an airframe that was less than 250 grams. It was unbelievable, and they've come out with 3 more models since then. Again, the SE, 2 SE, and the 2. The 2 is the last Generation 1 airframe for DJI's design. And you might be wondering, why did they move to a new Generation 2 airframe? Well, there were things they wanted to do with the Mini that they couldn't do on this airframe. For starters, the camera on the Generation 2 airframe will flip from portrait to landscape. So you can actually flip the camera if you're doing Instagrams or you're a TikToker. You can flip the video into a vertical position and actually capture that kind of footage you need for those type of videos that you're creating. Another thing they wanted to do was introduce advanced crash avoidance, where you've got crash, not in this drone, but in Mini 3 Pro, you've got crash avoidance all around it, so where you're flying, you're not going to run into something. They couldn't really do it on this design. So the Generation 2 started with the Mini 3 Pro and was carried forward with the Mini 3. Now the Mini 3 is sort of a scaled back version from the Mini 3 Pro, but what's interesting is these two drones share a lot of very similar specifications. So this is a tricky decision because when you think about it, both of these drones can fly 10 kilometers. They're based on OcuSync technology. The flight times are about the same. This one's a little bit less because this one offers 2 different battery styles like I'd mentioned. There's the standard battery and the Plus battery. So if you go with the Plus battery, it's going to fly a lot longer, but it puts it over that 250 gram weight limit. So then there's a consideration there. So if you need longer flight time, this is where you want to be. But in the film department, both of these record 4K footage at up to 30 frames a second. So you're going to get the same video out of both drones. Again, a little longer flight time, vertical and portrait shooting, not really having any crash avoidance. It's got the same distance for flight. It's got the same recording capabilities. So for me, it's a tough call. I mean, this is a great frame and I love that extended flight time. But if you're just getting started in the hobby, this has got pretty much everything you need to get up in the air and have a whole lot of fun. And arguably, this is probably 85 or 90% of the same experience you're going to get with the Mini 3. So would I upgrade from a Mini 2 to a Mini 3? Probably not. If I couldn't afford the Mini 3 Pro, this would be a good alternative. But again, the specs are so close, this might be the one you want to go with. So the choice always comes down to budget and your needs up in the air. But I've got similar flight distances, exactly the same recording capabilities, longer flight time, and okay, vertical and portrait, vertical and horizontal shooting on the video. If that matters to you, those are the major differences between them. So really the choice is yours, as it is every time. I hope you found this review helpful. I love talking about drones. I love flying them even more. So thanks for tuning in. And until next time, as always, happy flying.